Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining. There's a lot of other great speakers, and the show floor is still open, so I really appreciate you guys joining us for what I hope will be a very helpful presentation. Is this my clicker? Okay. I'm the co-founder of a company called MetaVRse. We're based in Toronto, Canada. And we call ourselves a lot of things to different people. We're an agency, we're a consulting firm, we're a system integrator, aggregator. Really what we do is we connect companies like a lot of the very smart people who are working here who may be having trouble bringing their technology to market and finding paying customers from the beginning. My co-founder, Alan Smithson, is over there. We often introduce ourselves as I'm the former lawyer, he's the former DJ. He invented a touchscreen DJ controller that was used by some top musical artists. I actually used to be a lawyer, and before that I ran social media for Canada's biggest telco. And we both found virtual reality and found each other at Toronto's VR meetup, which I'm going to talk about how meetups and incubators are one of the accelerants and catalysts of this industry. Just a little bit about what we do. So we do a lot of things. A lot of what is in there is actually partner content. So the training simulation, the retail simulator, those are our partners, and we have their blessing to show off our work. And that's kind of the point, is that those are our clients. Sorry, I'm going to go back one. We connect the people who are making the really amazing technology. We remix it. We find different ways to just make it fit different clients and fit their marketing budgets or fit their activation budgets, training simulations, in some cases for industrial industries. Who's seen this slide recently? I feel like it's the head slide in way too many presentations these days. A lot of people in the industry right now are just disappointed that there hasn't been mass proliferation of VR and AR headsets yet. They're building consumer applications in anticipation of that reaching this critical mass where they can actually make money. And a lot of people a lot of companies are, they've got a high burn rate. They have to keep smart people on their payroll, and they're panicking, and there's this gap of disappointment. The thing is that if you've gone to any of the investor panels recently, you've probably heard a lot of people say that the money's in enterprise. And that is absolutely true. And I would expand enterprise to also include brands that are interested in doing interesting marketing activations. So the problem, I love this ad, but it is actually indicative of the fact that, this industry is, we're selling to ourselves a lot of the time, especially in Silicon Valley. We're from Toronto, so we're a little bit of outsiders, and we have the benefit of not always being surrounded by people who have already drank the Kool-Aid. It's great to get together with the people who have, because you guys get it, and that's where we really learn. The rest of the time, we're educating customers. We're educating clients who have never even put on a Google Cardboard before. And that's the thing that we have to continue reminding ourselves, is that 90% of the world and the people who have the authority to sign checks to your company for amazing things you're doing, they don't even know. They think that it's video games, and they think that it's Pokemon Go that their kids play, and haven't seen the potential yet for their business. So a lot of our engagements start with a simple educational lunch and learn. Recently we started actually charging for them, just because we've been getting so much demand for just the educational part of it. And that's the problem, is that, you know, the VR and AR industry, a lot of the time we're talking to people who already agree with us. We're preaching in the choir. There aren't enough connections. There are starting to be many great connections, especially if you caught Lowe's, Kyle Nell, his presentation talking about the internal innovation labs that are happening in a lot of companies, and why in a lot of cases they're not working, but in some cases they really are. For most of the industries that we work with, they don't have that. And if they have an innovation person, it's a title. They don't have the full support of the C-suite to actually do the things that they've been given a commission to do. So I'm going to talk about how agencies, incubators, and investors can act as these catalysts to form these connections. So we'll start with investors. Without money, none of this is possible. We have to get paid and support ourselves as we're building these amazing things. I'll keep this part short. I think that I always like to see when investors are at these conferences with the companies they're investing in, introducing them on stage, you know, giving the forward, and showing us that they're actually actively supporting the companies they're investing in to help them make those connections, where even if their projected consumer launch is not going to make money for a while, elements of that technology could already start making them revenue. Incubators. This is a shot from the Seattle hackathon, and we're hoping to have one in Toronto soon. And I met my co-founder at a VR meetup. I'm sure you all know about the great work that's being done by UploadVR and Upload LA, and just bringing a whole bunch of people together. And the connections that can be made by just trotting corporations, investors through these spaces, just make these kinds of connections that wouldn't be possible otherwise. And then finally, agencies. So we don't make a lot of the content that is finally produced for our clients. We're working with other producers, and we're basically creating those connections that go together. One of the big challenges with agencies is that for big companies that have the big budgets, they don't have a line item at the beginning of the year that is for virtual and augmented reality. You need to get them early. You need to educate somebody within the organization who can champion it and provide them with the ammunition that they need to sell. One of the best insights we actually found, we were at the Consumer VR show in Vancouver, and Kelly Candle from Media Monks, so they did this Audi sandbox activation that I'm not sure if you've seen. They're actually driving through a physical sandbox that is using Kinect sensors to sense the differences in the sand as a little toy car is going through it, and then in a virtual reality experience you would see it. Possibly only about 50 people to 100 people actually put on a VR headset and tried that, but they got millions of hits on the two-dimensional video that was shared on Facebook and YouTube afterwards and got picked up by Mashable and TechCrunch and things like that. So for a lot of companies right now, it's early enough that they can get a lot of value from the earned media of doing something really interesting and unique in the space. And for a lot of industries, if they do something, they're going to be the first in their industry, at least in their region. And so the final thing that I would say that we can all do to accelerate the industry is just changing the cultural conversation around augmented reality and virtual reality. This is a scene from Black Mirror. I'm sure you've at least heard of it if you haven't seen it. And even Ready Player One, that I think a lot of the industry is hinging their hopes on shifting the cultural zeitgeist, it is a dystopian future. And I think that we have to start shifting it towards the Marvel Universe, Tony Stark having superpowers as a result of augmented reality, which I think is the theme of this entire show, is how augmented reality and virtual reality and whatever we call it. Actually, that was the last thing I wanted to say. Can we just stop inventing new terms? VR, AR, MR, XR. For that 90% of people who haven't tried any of them, we're just confusing the hell out of them. Every time we come into into one of those educational sessions and say, well, you know, 360 video isn't quite virtual reality, and this is 6 degrees of freedom, then we just see people's eyes glaze over. And so finally, one more plug is that VRTO is happening in Toronto. We're helping to recruit great companies to come out and exhibit there. It's in its second year and growing quite a bit. And how will you be a VR and AR catalyst? I think that everybody in the room has the knowledge and many of the connections to start acting as a catalyst to really grow the industry. And we have a partner portal. We love to work with new partners and help to find them new opportunities that they may not have already anticipated. So metaverse.com/partners. Thank you very much.